speaking of the Utopia, we're going to move on to your travels to Ghana and Western Africa. The song it's by your group, Mandara. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Mandara.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mandara. So it's the Abibi Groma?
Yes, Abibi Groma.
All right. Nice. Not too bad.
You did it.
So, yeah, this song represents the time that you spent living in West Africa. So, kind of tell us, give us an overview of your reason for moving there and the time that you spent there and the incredible accomplishments you achieved while living there.
Well, the song Abibi Groma is the theme song for a group called Abibi Groma, and they were so gracious to allow us to record the piece. When I was a freshman in college, I'll try to make this as short as I can. When I was a freshman in college, we had a graduate student, doctoral student from Ghana. And he was teaching us a lot of cool things, but he used to walk up to a marimba, which is that instrument behind me, and play like nobody I'd ever heard in my life. I said, Joseph, what do you do? First of all, where did you learn to play like that? To which he said, oh, I don't play this instrument. I'm a clarinet player. I'm like, oh, no, man. You can play this instrument like no one I've ever heard. Well, he said, we have the mother and the father of your marimba we have in Ghana. It's called the Gio. That was enough to get me started. When I went to graduate school at Ithaca College, I looked up, Cornell University was across the lake. So I went into their library and I tried to find as much scholarship as I could about the Gio. Couldn't find anything, so eventually a couple of years, 4 or 5 years out of graduate school, when I moved back to New York City and did a lot of research, I just realized if I'm going to learn about this instrument, I'm going to have to go there myself. And so I went in 1988 for the first time. They say, whoever they are, that music is a spokespiece for the culture that it represents. And so I went to Ghana the first time, briefly in 1988, to research the music, to learn about the music. But when I met the people, I said, oh my God, this is where the beautiful energy of this music comes from, the beautiful energy of people who basically say happiness comes from here, like that, not the other way around. That's one thing. Number two, you and I are the same. They taught me that over and over again, that if you think I'm from the skin in and you're from the skin out, we're already separated. So just the tremendous amount of respect for the ancestry, respect for one another, the way that people always work as a group, always regard one another as the same. It just blew my mind. So initially I went in 1988, went to South Africa in actually 1990 because I was very curious about apartheid at the time, and actually Nelson Mandela had just been released from prison, and he did this big world tour, a tour of the United States. And I just said, I need to know more about that. And then I went back to Ghana. I met Kakraba Lobi, who was the founding member, or one of the founding members of the National Dance Company of Ghana. He blew my mind. He took me on as a student. Being a student to a mentor like Kakraba was something I'll treasure my whole life, because he was not only he was an incredible player, played with such complexity and soul at the same time, and always tried to teach me the best that he possibly could.
Yeah.
But he was a mentor in life. He taught me how to be a good human being, how to be a good person, how to be a good neighbor, how to be a good musician to serve the community. So whatever rubbed off, I'm grateful because if I
Absolutely.
learned a speck of what he did, I'm grateful.
Um, do you think that your your spirit is so open and in touch with the native people and the native music and instruments of Africa? Do you think that you that comes from your ethnicity of being Native American and being open to the beliefs and rituals and just the spirituality of Native peoples? Like what do you think was the glue that connected you so much with these people?
Well, first of all, a lot of us natives, contemporary Native Americans, are kind of shy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my father was, as many of his family and his clan and his people, very principled and very strict. And I used to hate that when I was a kid. I wanted to have fun and get in trouble and do all those kinds of things. I remember the only time I showed up drunk home was when I was the drummer in a country and western band. And we had a few beers, and I probably had a couple, few sips too many. And I went home and I said, "Oh, I am in so much trouble." But you know what? He just took one look at me and he said, "Go to bed, go to sleep." He
Mm-hmm.
knew I was making music, and he totally understood. Um,
Yeah.
all Native peoples that I've ever known, bar none, have a total respect for the power of of the sound vibration of music. Not only
Okay.
as something for fun, which it is fun, not only something to dance to, which you do dance to, but it can change your whole life. And so he knew anything I was doing that had to do with music was going to be a good thing, hopefully for me and for the community. When I first went to West Africa and subsequently, people would tell me, "Oh, you're Red Indian," or they first thing they'd ask is, "What's your ethnicity?" And when they found out, and they still use the term endearly, and I love it. They say Red Indian, and they say, "You're Red Indian. Oh, you are like us. We are the same." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well." But I realized tribal life is tribal life, and tribal life means you're connected, and you must always be open. And I have my dark sides, and I have my things that I made a lot of mistakes as a kid, and hopefully don't make too many more about being selfish. But you know what? When you're open, when you share your time, your talents, your profits, whatever it is, it all comes back. And so,
Yeah.
I found that in rural Ghana, in rural Burkina Faso, in South Africa, in Cape Town, Soweto. It's a principle um, that I hope to live by, and sometimes I really have to remind myself, that we're all on this planet to just make something good happen. So
Yeah.
why not have fun and enjoy one another's company?
That's right. I can appreciate that.